Well, let's jump right into it. Thank you for that introduction. And good morning to all you lovely people all over the world, wherever you are. All right, let's see here. I'm just getting my screen all set up. Today, I actually joined with two devices. I have this one, of course, this is my laptop, and then I also have this little phone here, which I'll be able to kind of show you on a mobile device, how you can manipulate that and make some of these same changes, should you have those questions. So I will jump right into just some basic things that we've went over in the past. But again, like Nicole mentioned, these things are always changing. So we have to stay up to date as nerds, my team and I, so that we can make sure that if Zoom makes a change, Apple makes a change, any type of company that makes a change to their software, we want to try our best to stay up to date. Things are changing at lightning speeds. So with Zoom, we know that because most people are using this platform, they're always trying to make things better. Now, some of you may say, well, this change is really not better because it just changed some things for me. So I just want to make sure that you all know where to go if things actually change, or where you can actually go and find those different updates, okay? So first and foremost, I'll share my screen, and this is my computer screen. I want to make sure that you all know how to do the basics when it comes down to Zoom etiquette. Since COVID, actually before COVID, I think I mentioned before, I've been using Zoom for years, way before COVID even started. So I was very familiar with the platform. But since COVID, now everyone's using Zoom. And there's a certain etiquette that we all need to follow while on Zoom. Like as of right now, if we were all in the same room physically, I couldn't just put a piece of tape over your mouth to mute you, right? You could say whatever you want to say whenever you want to say it. But here you have this etiquette where a speaker or the host will mute everyone for a certain amount of time. And it's not out of disrespect. It's just to allow them to speak, and then they will open it up. So that's why you all are on mute. And then once we open up for some Q&A, then you'll be able to unmute and then ask those questions. I say that because there have been people to ask, like, why am I muted? I just want to be able to speak. So that's the reason why. The second thing is, as you see my whole screen, you can all see your lovely faces here. I want to just kind of give you a lay of the land of what I am looking at whenever I am looking at my screen on Zoom, even when I'm out of here, because I join a lot of Zoom meetings. So on my bottom left, down here, you see the mute and the video. These are the two most important icons for me. And I would equate that even with the leave on the bottom right over there on my little dock there. But we'll pop over to the leave in a second. But mute is very important, because as we're talking about etiquette and we're talking about making sure that we're not saying something or doing something, you want to do everything right on Zoom. So if I was actually in a physical meeting with all of you, and I'm just a regular Joe Schmo in the meeting and someone else is speaking, I don't want to be that guy to be like, hey, so what are we doing for lunch today? Or talk about my doctor's appointment, so I interrupt the meeting. So if that's the case, if you're not on mute, what I normally do when the host doesn't put me on mute, I mute on my own so that I never interfere. If the FedEx guy knocks on the door, if my dogs start barking and something like that, I always want to be on mute. So if you hit mute,
Sorry, Julius, try again. It should go now.
Sorry, yeah, thank you. Yeah, so I hit mute and then I got stuck in mute, but I hit mute so that anytime I'm not speaking, just so there's no feedback coming in, I just mute if my phone goes on. And then when I'm ready to speak, then I would speak. Same thing with the video here. Sometimes when I'm on a regular Zoom call and I'm in a meeting with people and I'm not the lead host, if I take a phone call, if I have to speak to my wife, if I have to step away really quick, I always hit mute and I go off the camera. That is like number one. I go and I do it in that order. You can do it in any order you want. You can turn off the camera and then you can go mute. But I like to do that just so that I am completely off at that point. So even though you're talking to your doctor, and maybe it's the dentist, maybe it's the dog walker, whomever, it's a private conversation. Not everyone needs to hear that. And I've had where people will leave themselves on and the video on and they interrupt the class or interrupt the meeting. So get familiar with that. On the right of both of those little icons, you can go into the settings a little bit more. You don't need to alter these because it should have been set up the proper way. If we can see and hear you right now, you have everything set up properly. But I just want to show you this. If you needed to alter it, if you got new speakers, if you got a new mic to make your mic a little bit better, you can use a third-party mic and you can actually go in here. I'm on my computer, so it's using my built-in microphone for you all to hear me, and it's using my built-in speaker so that I'm able to hear you all. Now I can test the speaker, test the microphone, switch to phone audio, leave computer audio. I'm not going to touch any of that. I just want to show you where it's at should you find yourself in a pickle and you need to get out of it. Same thing with the video. Here, this is what we've talked about before. It's using my camera that's built into my computer, but again, I could buy a better camera. I can get a very expensive camera if I'm hosting a lot of Zoom meetings and I need the best possible quality. This is pretty legit, but there are people who will go on Amazon, go to Best Buy and get a really nice camera where I've seen them, they can cost $150, $200, and they're just gonna give you a sharper picture. But they're doing that because they're holding really big, boardroom meetings, and there are a lot of people in there, and they want to make sure that they can capture all of that movement instead of like the camera that comes with my computer, which again, all of our cameras, who's on here, I can see all of you very well, but it just enhances the video. While in there, and you guys can take a dive into this yourself, in the video settings, if I go into the video settings here, or if I go into the audio settings, it'll take me to the same place. So imagine that all of the settings is in the basement of the house. If I click on audio settings, it's gonna open this guy up and it just takes me straight to the audio. But the same deal, I can go into my video settings as well, and I can make some changes in here, but I wouldn't make too many if you don't know what they are. If you're trying to find out, most of them are self-explanatory, but you can also do a Google search, like adjust for low light, touch up my appearance, things of that nature. You can actually go and check mark these, and they come by default with some standard selections, but you can enhance it and change the camera, change all of these different things here. So as you're in here, take a look around, don't make any changes, but get familiar with it should you have to make a change or you want to make a change later. Let me close out of here. Right here to the right of video, we have participants. So we have 67 people currently in this class, and I will be able to see, if I hit this little arrow up here, I will be able to see the invite here, and I could say, hey, you know what, Joe Schmo, you need to come to this class too, and I can, share this information. But over here to the right of that, we have the chat. So in the chat, if I click on chat, now I get the little chat bubble over here, and I want to bring your attention to this because this is important. Again, we're going to act as though we're in the class, a physical setting. So I'm sitting next to Debbie, and I'm in between Debbie and Jill. And so if I want to say something to Debbie and Jill, even if I had the license to, I wouldn't want to unmute, because that will be equivalent to me speaking over the speaker, which will be sort of like this. Hey, Debbie and Jill. And then people will look like, dude, can you shut up? We're trying to listen to this guy. So instead of doing that, what I will be able to do here is I can just kind of whisper and say, hey, Debbie, hey, Jill. And that will be this chat that I can have with them. So if you notice on my bottom right, it's the chat says to everyone. But if I wanted to just reach out to Debbie or Jill, I can click on everyone and notice how I get this little bar here. The slide, I can slide up and down, and you can scroll and you can say, well, let me find Debbie. Oh man, I can't find her here. It's way too many names. It's 1,000 people. But if you notice up top here, there's a search, and then I can look for Jill. I just typed in J-I, and then Jill auto-populated. It said, hey, do you want Jill? So as I take my arrow over Jill here on my computer, it says more. I can click on chat. And now notice that at the bottom here, instead of saying to everyone, it says direct message to Jill. And I'll say, hello. So now Jill just got a little message from me, and she waved at me because she got my little whisper. And I'm able to have this little conversation, a sidebar conversation. So if Jen's the speaker and I'm like, oh my goodness, did you just hear the information that she said? And I can reach out to Jill and say, you know what? We actually got to buy one of those. Let's go and get one right after this class. We can have that conversation and not interrupt Jen at all. So that's a really cool feature. Now, be cognizant of the little chat here, because if you want to go back to everyone or have everyone see your question because it may be applicable, then you want to go back up, click on Jill, scroll all the way up to the top and choose everyone. And now when you say your comment, everyone in the class will be able to see it. So be very aware that if you are doing that and you're going back and forth, and maybe you're trying to talk bad about Barbara, and you're like, you know what, Barbara, she's always saying something, and you put that in everyone, everyone's going to be able to see it. Just know that, okay? In addition to that, let me get out of here. I want to bring you over to the share screen feature. Now, I'm sharing the screen. It's in these classes, it's highly unlikely that you're probably going to share your screen. But if you ever joined a Zoom call, let's say, you're just with family and friends, and you're like, hey, I want you to see the picture of my 8-year-old grandson that the lady was speaking of before we got on the call. She can share her screen with the people, just like I'm sharing my screen. So that's what this would be. And then once you're there, you have the option to share your whole screen, where everything that comes up on your screen will be there, or you can share just the photo album, things of that nature. So you can go through that if you plan on sharing your screen. The record button, we're not the host, but this is being recorded. That's why we all got that notification. If you are the host, then you will be able to record that little meeting as well. So if you guys do a virtual birthday party or a virtual family get together, you can record that for future purposes. We have the transcript. We're not doing a live transcript on here, but you can request that on certain Zoom calls. The problem is, and I know Nicole and Ashley brought it up, sometimes when you add that, it can kind of block some things on a mobile device and you really can't see it the way you need to see it. So just be cognizant of that. As I mentioned, the mute and the stop video is probably the two most important buttons that I personally use when I'm in my personal meetings. The other one would be the reactions. So here, the reactions, when I click on it, I'm able to raise my hand. So this is that part where Dorothy Harris right now has her virtual hand up. You could physically raise your hand and say, hey, Julius, I have a question, and I'll try to see you. But as you notice, we have 69 people on here. Sometimes there are 2 screens of people and I can't see it, but we still look for it. But here is a way to raise your hand, and it tells you right here. Sometimes people actually use this little clap, and if you hover over it, it'll tell you what it is. This is a clap. So if you're trying to raise your hand but you clap, people may look over you and say, oh, you're just clapping, thanks. Eventually, when you clap, it will go away on its own. So someone says something great, you're like, oh, you know what? Let me give him a virtual clap because he can't hear me, or maybe he can't see me, whatever the case may be, but you can clap here. If you like something that was said, give them a thumbs up. If you love something, give them a heart. You have all of these guys here, in addition to the raising hand, which is the most popular, and that's something that you would do frequently. You see these little 3 dots right here, you can go a little bit further. So if you click on that, now you get all the different emojis here. And you can go and you can add a bunch of different stuff if you wanted to. And this right here will go on you. If you notice on my little top screen here, it has a little baseball up there. So I added that baseball and then it went away. So you can play around with that. And I see some people are playing around with it now. You could play around with that and add one of those reactions there. But again, raising hand is going to be the most important, especially in these classes. Now, when you raise your hand, if you notice my little hand is raised on my screen here at the top. Now, in order to put it down, you can lower your hand. You're like, hey, I have a question. And then next thing you know, Pat, she answers or she asks that question. And you're like, man, it's the same question. I don't need to ask it anymore. So you can go back here and lower your hand. That's how you would go about that. The apps, I discussed in another class where you're not going to use the apps. We don't even use them. It's more business related. So I would just, that's a new feature that came within the last few months. I would just leave that as is. The other thing is leave. It's very important that, let's say, for instance, you're on this Zoom call here, and if the host doesn't end the meeting, you can still be in the meeting. So you want to make sure that you leave the meeting. You walk out of that room. If we were all in the physical room and they say, hey, the meeting's over, physically walk out of there, because sometimes there have been, it's been noted in the last couple of years where people actually never leave the meeting by accident, and the meeting's still going and their personal business is being aired out on there. Now, again, it may not be something that's like super secret, but again, your personal business is your personal business because it's personal. So keep it to yourself and make sure that if you are leaving the meeting, you want to hit on leave, and then it asks you again, you want to make sure you leave that meeting. But if you're in the meeting, remember, and you want to step away and have that personal conversation, make sure you mute and make sure you turn the camera off, and you want a nice slash right through those two. Now, let me show you how to, and then I'll pop over to my phone. I want to show you how to change your name. So right now I'm Nerd Alert. And as I come in there, if you notice here, my little name up at the very top, one second. So my little name at the very top, Nerd Alert Me, it says mute. I can mute myself, which I don't want to do that. But if you go over to more, you see how it says rename. Now this is on my computer. I'll show you how to do this on your mobile device. So if I click on rename, I'll just call myself Nerd Julius. And then once I type that in, rename. Now, before I do it, I just want to tell you why you would do this. Sometimes when you join in, you may join in on someone else's Zoom, maybe your husband's or your wife's, your wife's Zoom, or you just join by cell phone and it just has your cell phone number. And people actually, they're like, hey, yeah, 561-233-4242. Can you say something? It's like, well, my name's John. Well, we don't know your name because what's being displayed is your phone number. Or, if it's your husband's or your wife's Zoom, if you call them by that and they're like, nope, my name's Jen. Like, oh, I didn't know it. It said Joe. So you'll be able to change your name right up here. And once you click rename, notice at the top right, now it says Nerd Julius. So I'm able to change that whenever I need to update my name. You may not want your first and last name in there. You may just want your first name or just your last name or your nickname. So you can put whatever you want in there, and then that's what people kind of see on the other side. Now let me pop down to, I want to actually show you this screen here. Okay. Oh, you know what? Before I get out of there, I want to show you the speaker view because this is a big question as well. So anytime I do Zoom calls, I like to see as many people as I possibly can because I like to look at facial expressions. When I'm really in the room doing it, I'm always kind of gauging the room. I can go over something and then I'll see someone, I'm like, all right, so did everybody get that? And everybody's shaking their head and somebody's like this question mark that's just lingering over their face. And like, yeah, I got it. I'm like, all right, I think I'm gonna go over that again. So I like to look at everybody's faces. And again, I can only see so many. If you notice here, I just went over to the side, but for everyone that's pretty much showing their screen, I can see you here. Here's the view at the very top. So when I go into the view, I'm able to go by speaker, which I will be the speaker. So now you see, I have a little row up at the very top and I'm the speaker, so I get to see myself. If I go back to gallery, now this is what I'm actually going to see. So if you just want to kind of see the speaker, especially when we actually get into the Q&A and Frida may ask a question, Barbara may ask a question, Frank may ask a question. Every single time, sometimes you want to know, it's just like being in a room with everybody. They're like, okay, any questions in the crowd? And it's like, yeah. And then as soon as someone asks a question, you kind of look over at them like, okay, yeah, that guy knows what he's talking about. And then you look at the person. So here, instead of looking at the big gallery view, you want to see that speaker. So you can toggle that down, make sure you click on speaker, and now you'll see that speaker. So let me go back here and I want to show you how, let me see if I can share my screen here. Start broadcast. Okay, so now I'm actually on my phone and let's see if I will be able to show you all of this cool stuff because they'll stop being it. I'm sharing my screen. I want you to be able to see this sort of the same things I went over on there. So notice, of course, the bottom bar went away that we saw on the actual computer. It's a little different. It's a little bit more condensed. So as I go here to participants, so look at that there. I get to see the same idea where it was like participants on the computer that I showed you. We have 72 people. We can actually see that at the very top. I can go through and say, you know what? I actually just want to reach out to Judy. I can tap on Judy here and look at that. Send a message direct to Judy. Same idea, but a different way. If I close that, let me go back up to the top. And remember, we talked about renaming yourself. This is on the mobile phone. So if I tapped on Nerd Phone Me, you see that I can actually raise my hand or I can rename. So let's give myself a cool nerd. How about that? You all think I'm cool, right? Maybe a little bit. All right. So we're going to go with that. Now I'm the cool nerd. And it shows, hey, that's me. It shows that the camera's on. So when I hit close, now that's my name in the chat. So as I go in here, if someone's looking for the cool nerd, they'll be able to find me here. And in addition to that, the other thing that we learned was if you go over to more on the bottom right, notice that we have in the chat, I can go to the chat, which I want to go there and check that out and see what's in here. So this is Betty to everyone, James to everyone. We all should be able to see this. Now, remember I tapped on Judy earlier. It's still ready to send something to Judy. I did it by accident. So all I would do is tap on Judy at the bottom. And then I want to tap on everyone so I don't send a direct message to Judy. Now, when I send something, and I would hit that little arrow, and I want you to see, so now it's grayed out. I cannot send anything because it's grayed out, the little send arrow. But when I type in something, it becomes blue. Now I can send it. I'll just hit that little guy. And now everyone should actually get that. And it says from the cool nerd to everyone. So we have this here. And these are all the options in the chat. So you can always look at the chat until they take it away. Now on my screen, all of my little buttons just went away. All I have to do to get them back is tap it. Now the bottom comes back up. So you tap it and then it goes, it comes back. Eventually it'll go away. But I want to go back over here to more. And I want to show you, like, you have like background filters. I can raise hand from here, minimize the meeting, more meeting settings. So it's not as robust on the mobile phones as it is on a desktop computer or a laptop, sort of the same, but you can do a lot of the different things. Again, you can raise your hand from here. Once I hit raise my hand, it'll show the cool nerd has his hands raised or his hand raised. Let me go back here. I need to lower my hand because it's up there. Someone already asked that question. I tap on it again. Once I hit more, background and filters. Now, these actually don't have the same background and filters that you have on your computer, but you can do a few things. Now, I added my own background, and you can see here that that's an image that I pulled right from my phone. This one right here, I pulled it right from my phone, and you can do that by hitting the little plus button and going through your different images and adding those in the background. Once I tap on that, I hit done. Now I have another image in my background. You have filters as well. So you can add those filters, and this is something that you could play with on your own, but just showing you what these things are so you can feel a little bit more confident by doing it. Now, let's say, for instance, you're like, well, Julius, I don't want to play around with this stuff while I'm on a Zoom call. I want to be prepared. So when I get on that Zoom call, I look like a Zoom professional, and I don't want to, and I want to act like I know what I'm doing. So listen, I get it. This is what I do. I would literally go onto your Zoom when no one's on there, and you could just start a new meeting. And that's the best place to do it. So when you never got an invite, you could just open up the Zoom app, and there should be an option to start meeting. If you have an account with them, it's a free account. And when you do a new meeting, you're going to be the only one in that meeting. And then you can go and play around with your background and filters, get your nice positioning so that you will be able to see how you look before you actually get on the Zoom. Check out that background filter beforehand. Get familiar with the buttons. Go mute and video off, turn it back on. So when that time comes, you could just say, hey, I got a phone call. Let me just hit mute and so forth. So in here, again, you'll notice that it is a little bit more robust on a computer, but you still have the simple features that you need to get to on your mobile device. It'll look a little different on an iPad. This is an iPhone that I'm using, but it's the same idea. We're looking for those icons. Let me stop share. All right. And now we're back here, and I just want to show you one last thing here, and then I want to get to some of these questions. So let's go here to share. I want to go back here. Now I'm back using my computer. Same idea, just going back to those filters. And if you go here to choosing, virtual background, you go here, notice how I have different images on this account, and I can put those in the background here and see what they look like. So now I have this. The crazy thing is if you see my hand here, it kind of blends in with the yellow, but it also, you can see that there is a little error with it, right? It won't be exactly perfect because my computer is trying to remember the picture in the background, which is really not there. It makes it seem like it's there, but also get me in the screen as well. So if I go slow, it's a little bit better, but you could still see the background a little bit. To get the best possible background when you have an image, you would have to have a green screen back there like they do in the movies. If you have a green screen and then you put that on there, then the computer, the camera will be able to look at that green screen and project that picture there, and you will get a better experience. But for the most part, I think this is pretty good. Like, I mean, I can move it, you can see like the little things on my around me, but it keeps me in the picture. You have the blur. So sometimes if you don't have the best background, and you're like, you know what, I don't actually want them to see this in my house, you can blur it. That's a good idea as well. So blur is one that people use. And then these standard videos. I know some people said that they have it, some people don't. I have the latest version of Zoom and I'm on my computer. So I know they don't have the same ones on the phones or the mobile devices, but this is what I have on my computer and I'm able to use those. And that's it. And then there's a bunch of fun filters in here that you can jump into. So check that out. With that being said, I want to actually go over to the questions. So, because I see that we have a lot and I want to make sure I get them all today before we end. So let me stop.
You want to let's take Dorothy because she has her hand up. She had it up. Dorothy, if you want to unmute, and then we'll go right to the questions. Let's unmute Dorothy. Are you there? All right. Positive Pat, you want to unmute because you have your hand up, and then we'll go.
Okay.
Oh, okay, we got Dorothy. Let's go. Okay, Dorothy, go ahead.
I want to know how to put Zoom on my laptop.
Okay, that's a great question. So PC or Mac, this will be the easiest
PC.
Way to go about doing it. This is what I normally do. Let me share my screen.
Okay.
I'll just use Google Chrome. It doesn't matter which one you're using, but just do Zoom for Mac, right? I'll show you two ways, and I just want you to see this. So I did Zoom for Mac in the Google search. The first thing here takes me to the download center, and then you get here, and I'm able to download. Now, if I go back, and I'll do Zoom for PC, same idea. It takes me to the download center. When I click on this here, it knows my computer. So it's still going to say Mac. It knows what I'm on. You want to get this first one and it will make the decision it needs to make for you to download for your computer. So if you do that, that will be the easiest way to get the application onto your computer. And then you have to follow the steps to install it. You have to double click on the download once it's on your computer and then go through the steps of installing it on your computer. And then you should see like an icon, like on my Mac, I have this guy here. On your PC, it can actually be on your little taskbar as well, or on your desktop once you've downloaded it and installed it properly.
Okay. I'll take it slower, but I'll get through it. Thank you.
Yeah, and just so you know, also there should be, let me see, some directions. Downloading Zoom for Windows, because there are some step-by-step directions as well. Like, and this is from Business Insider. This is a legitimate website. So even if you go here, this will tell you, Google doesn't know everything, but Google know how to they know how to point you to the right answer on different websites. So it kind of walks you through, and I'll see if this is legit. Okay, look at this. This bypasses the whole Google search. It just says go to zoom.us, go all the way down to the footer and click on download. On the downloads page, click download under Zoom. It took us to that page. Now we got to that page very quick. Here you have a couple more steps. Once you download, it says the .exe, which is for PC, will start to download. And it doesn't give you this, the specific setup steps on your computer because everybody's computer is a little different.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'll review. I'll go back through most of what you said until I get it. Thank you.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, Pat, go ahead.
Good morning.
Hey, Pat.
Can you tell me again where you got that background with the video?
So that video right here on my computer, I was able to go into, hang on, let me show you here. So right in where it says stop video, the arrow on the side here, I go up to choose virtual background. And once I choose virtual background, it gives me, it kind of couples the images with the videos here. And I can tell that this is a video because it has like a little video icon here. And there's another one here, which is a video, which is this guy right here, and it's just moving. So these are the ones that when I updated, I didn't do anything special to get those here. All of these were here besides I added the cassette tape and I added the pyramids here myself. But these other two were actually standard with when I downloaded Zoom.
So if it's not standard on my computer, where can I get it?
That I would say reaching out to Zoom because Zoom just gave it. They just put it in here. I didn't do anything special to get it. So I'm not sure why it's not on there. It may be that it can't go on there. And that, like, for instance, I won't have these on my phone no matter what I do. Because Zoom's looking at my system saying that I can't have it on my phone, but on my computer, it allows me to have that video in the background. So you could probably reach out to, let me just see here. Don't I have a beach video on Zoom? And let's see if they have a Q&A for it. Virtual filters. Yeah, they're probably going to direct you over here. I've been to this page before because someone else had a question about it. And this is what it says here. Just as with the virtual background without a green screen, a video virtual background requires more system resources and thus has a higher system requirement. So here's the system requirements for it, and you have to have a certain amount of if you will, in your computer. So this is all some technical stuff. It makes sense to me, just as far as the specifications that you need to have. So this just kind of tells you Zoom desktop client, you need to have 4.6 or higher. That's their version, the Mac OS. So that's probably why if you don't see it on there, it may be because it's looking at your system, like we had mentioned before, and it won't allow it.
Okay, thank you.
All right, you're welcome, Pat.
All right, Julius, you want to take some of the ones we might have covered in the chat, and then we'll go back to, I see Sharon, Marion, Jen, and Susan. I see your hands up. So let's go to the chat for a second. Let's see what you can pick from there. Some of them we may have talked about, so.
Okay, let's see. So I know Pam Garrity had reached out to Ashley in regards to
She wanted to change her name from Pam to include her last name. And I know I temporarily did it, but she wants to know how to permanently do it on her Zoom account.
Can I
Okay,
explain myself a little bit?
Absolutely.
Okay. My profile does say Pam Garrity. So when I logged in just for this Zoom meeting, it only came up with Pam. So I feel like it didn't attach itself to my Zoom profile. And maybe I just kind of got logged in through a website instead of my app, because I did log in with my password and everything, and my permanent profile name is Pam Garrity, but just today when I logged in, it only showed Pam until Ashley fixed the screen.
Okay, yeah, I would check to see that, like you mentioned before. Here, let me share my screen with everyone, so you could see this. And make sure that you're logging in with the app and you're signed into the same account. That's one of the common things that I find. So I just logged into my Zoom account here. And this is when you go into the profile here, you'll notice at the very top right has my email address. That is the name that I gave it. So it always comes up as Nerd Alert. Now, if I go in here and edit this here, and I can actually say my first name and last name, but here's my display name. So enter a name, for example, your first and full name or nickname that will be shown to others on Zoom. So although it's Nerd Alert, I can have Nerd Alert here or Julius McGee here and then Nerd Alert here or vice versa. So this is why I changed mine. And then when I log into Zoom, it actually shows that all the time.
Okay, yeah, mine did have that correctly. So I'm assuming it was just a blip with this one connection, because I verified after talking with Ashley, my profile, the page you're looking at, did have my Pam Garrity in display name. So I'm assuming it was just a blip for today.
Yeah, it could be. And then ensure, are you using the app on your computer?
Yes, it's well, I don't know. I'm trying to get you out of full screen so I can look on my computer. It shows up down on my bottom taskbar
Okay, yeah.
as
So it
Zoom.
seems
So I don't know if that's an app or a shortcut. I'm not quite sure.
that it seems like an app without seeing your
Yeah.
screen, because usually
Yeah.
it's in the taskbar and it's that little blue and white icon.
Okay.
So if you're logged in via the app, then just ensure that if you have that account, as crazy as it sounds, that you're signed into Zoom with your account
Yeah.
information, because
Mhm.
sometimes when you click on the link, and if you're not signed in, it'll still allow you to join the Zoom call, and then you could just put in that name. Now, most of the time when you join a Zoom call, sometimes it even gives you the opportunity to alter your name or give yourself a name. So I would check that out and then let us know during the next session.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Let's see here. I forgot how to get a different background from Betty. And Betty, did you follow those directions that I gave? I know you asked that question a while ago. I think she's still here.
Yeah, got it fixed and I'm all set. Thank you.
Fantastic. You're very welcome. Here, let me leave the beach. It's kind of hot out here. There we go. There's my background, my real background. All right, so let's keep going down. All right, so we got James steady, and then we're gonna get to those hands that we have raised. James, good morning. Our morning will be, the 20s. Oh, we're talking about snow. Don't mention snow on this phone call. I get cold. I'm down here in Florida for a reason. I'm from Chicago originally, and I'm never going back. It's cold. Let me see here. I am with Betty, can't figure out. So Frida, were you able to figure that out? Frida Dickinson, the same
Yes,
thing with the foggy
went-
background?
Yep, I went back and looked and it says I have none in a nice little one letter word. So I'm gonna, maybe try to reload the program, and maybe I need a new version. And this is a little bit older laptop, so I might just try my Chromebook.
Yeah, try that and then see if you, in addition to that, make sure that you have the latest version of Zoom.
Right, I wrote that down too,
Okay, perfect.
because I don't think I do. So normally they send you a little trigger to tell you to do an update, but I haven't seen one for a while.
Exactly. Yeah. And there's a way, and it's different on different computers, but there's a way to kind of check because usually you will get that pop-up to say update, even when you close out of Zoom. That's when it usually happens. You want to update, or right when you start it, you want to update your Zoom. So definitely check that out and see if you can get that background, the blurred
Thank you.
background. You're
Thank
welcome. So I'm gonna answer 2 more questions from the chat, and then I'm gonna pop up to those other hands I see. How do you get your Zoom toolbar to stay visible at all times? Great question. So I did this a while ago, and let me just see here. I think it was in general. Make sure. Want to guide you to the right place. Always show. Okay, here we go. So let me show you here. And that question was asked by Loanne. Okay, so here, are you on a computer? You can unmute, Loanne. Oh, wait, I can't hear you yet.
Okay,
there
I'm
you go.
unmuted.
Okay, you're on your
I'm on a
computer?
computer. Oh, I'm on a laptop.
All right, cool. So right now I have mine staying there. And before, when I first started, it was always disappearing. I got to click there, disappearing. So this is what you would do. I just went into my settings. Like I usually, no matter what, these always take you into the main settings. So I went into the video settings here, and it's in
Okay.
general. This one right here is always show meeting controls. If you have
Okay.
that unchecked, then you notice at the bottom, it disappears after a while. But when you check it, always show meeting controls, then it's gonna lock it in for you.
Good. I noticed on this one, your toolbar was always staying there, but the Zooms I'm doing, it's disappearing and it's annoying.
Yes, yeah. I like to always see the controls too. So when I locked this in like over a couple of years ago, I'm like, this is the way I like to see it. So that could be very helpful if it's disappearing. For any of you, you could just go into your general settings and always show that bar.
They're under the video, right?
And so this right here, when you go into video settings, it's, even though it pops me into video,
Okay.
this is all your settings here. And so you could just pop up to
Okay.
general, and then you can go there, and you can go to any of these other places as well.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome. All right, one more. How do I set up a Zoom meeting and invite people to come on? Eva, are you there?
Let's unmute Eva.
Mute.
There
Okay.
you go.
Hi, I'm here. How are you?
I'm
for
well. How are
doing this.
you?
I'm great. Thank you.
Great. So you're looking to set up a Zoom call, right?
Yeah, I know how to get on. Like if someone invites me, I know
Yes.
how to do that, but I don't know how to, like if I want to have 10 friends to talk to, I don't know how, I have a Zoom account, I guess, but I don't know how to set it up and invite people to a Zoom. Or even if I want to do one-on-one with one of my grandchildren, I have no idea how to do that, although my 8-year-old knows how to do it.
Yes. I'm
They're very
trying to
tech-
see if
what?
it'll allow me, being that we are in a Zoom right now. So let me, because I wanted to show you the screens, but maybe it will, let me try something. Let me try to, no, that won't work either. Because I can give you the steps. I do it all the time. I just wanted you to see a visual.
Okay.
Let me see if I'm able to leave this meeting. And let me see here. Okay, so this is not going to be the same on a computer, but it's going to be the same idea as what you would do on a computer. Okay, so let me share this phone screen here. Okay, share. Okay, can you all see my phone screen?
Yes.
So normally, what you would see on a computer, it'll be like when you open up Zoom and you're signed in, you have to have an account, even if it's a free account. You would see this. Now, I already signed in, so you have these options, and it'll be the same on a computer: new meeting, join, schedule, and share. So new meeting was the thing that I told you I usually do before I even get on a Zoom call. I just want to see what I look like and make sure that everything's presentable, make sure everything is working. I'm like, okay, great. That also you can use where you're like, hey mom, or your grandson, like, let's jump on Zoom right now. Okay, no problem. So you can click on new meeting and just start meeting immediately. Now you have all of this information, you can share it later, but you could just start it. What I normally like to do is schedule things ahead of time. So I would say on my computer, or again, on the phone, you would tap on schedule in this case. You would schedule a meeting. Here, you would say nerd test, or let's do this, family meeting. All right. So starts today at 11. Maybe it's not today. Maybe it's on the weekend. On your screen, on your computer, you're going to see these same options. You go and hit start. Now, again, it looks different, but you're going to go and choose this on your computer. You'll say, hey, I want to do it on Saturday at 2 p.m. The duration, let's just keep it for an hour. And you can stay on there longer than that if you have a paid account. I think the free account stops at 35 minutes or 40 minutes. It used to be 45, but I think they went down on the time to try to push you into buying it. But if you have a paid account, then you could, stay on there as long as you like. So we'll just say an hour. So look, it tells me right then and there. Here's our answer to our question. Your Zoom basic plan has a 40-minute time limit on meetings with 3 or more participants. So let me hit OK. Let me bump this guy down, and we're just going to go 30 minutes. So now I have the right time zone, repeat never, or unless you want to do a meeting every week with the family on Saturday, you only have to set it up one time, and then you can repeat it for every week. Calendar, here's my personal meeting ID. I don't really have to alter any of this other stuff here. Now I can, but I don't need to. Once you hit save at the top right, now it's actually going to create that meeting. This automatically goes into my iPhone or iPad's calendar that's on my phone. I hit add at the top right, or if I want to send it to invite send out an invite, I can actually do it right here where it says invitees none. I can actually put in their email address right there. Email, not the text. So now let's just hit add, okay? The meeting is added. If I go on the bottom here, not to schedule, but to the bottom where it says meetings, you'll notice that I have that family meeting now. When I tap on it from my phone, I get to see the information about the meeting. But let's say you want to send this to people via text or email. You just want to copy it. If you hit send invitation, you can tap on that, and it's going to pop up on your phone or your mobile device and say send a message, send an email, or copy to clipboard. You can send it via text, you can send it via email, or you could just copy it. Completely up to you. Now on a computer, again, I can't show you because I'm on a Zoom call with you all how to set one up on a computer, but it's the same idea, the same exact steps, the same icons. It just looks a little bit different. So you're going to go schedule, fill out all that information, and then once you actually solidify that, it will go in there, and then you could share that invitation via email or text. Does that make sense?
It does, except how do you get the personal meeting ID and the passcode?
It does it for you. So when you get, it's already the meeting ID, it just did it for me when you set it up. But when you hit send invitation, if you copy to clipboard, I'll just copy it and then I can paste it. Or you know what? Let's just make it easy. I'll just go text. So let me go back to Zoom. I'll say send invitation. I'll say send message via text. It puts all of this information in there and it'll actually just give them a link. All they have to
Oh.
do, just like you all, when you click on that link that My Health Angel provides, it just takes you in there. You don't have to fiddle with all the numbers and the passcodes and all this. If they have this link, they're good to go.
Ah,
Yes.
okay, all right. I'll have to see. I'm not very technologically savvy, but that gave me a much better explanation than I would have by trying to figure out myself.
Yeah, no worries. It's if you do it a couple of times, I would try to test it out first. And then once you test it out, just do it to yourself. Send it to your own email, send it to your own text, and just kind of get familiar with it before you go live and do it with the family. But that's how essentially you would set up a meeting.
Okay, and how do you know what it costs for a paid subscription, or is?
If I'm not mistaken, I think it's like between $12 and $14 a month.
Oh.
But you could always, here we go, plans and pricing. You have the free, the next one up is $149 for the year.
Mm.
If you do it by year, if you do it by month, it is $14.99 a month.
$14.99 per month.
Yes.
Okay.
Or $149.90 for the year.
Yeah, I think I'll go for the free one.
Yes, the free is great because all you got to do, you can always hang up. If you're not doing it for business, I would just keep the free one.
Yeah. Thank you. That's excellent. Also, I wanted to ask you, I don't have a button that says apps so that I can get the backgrounds. Where would I get that?
It's fine that you don't have the apps because this is going to be for business. I don't even use this. To get the background, it's going to be over in the video settings, not in the apps, because the apps itself, it's going to be more business related stuff.
But where's the video section? Where would I find that?
On your computer, you're going to find it. You see where it says stop video right here?
No.
On my bottom left?
Oh, yes.
It's if
Okay.
you hit this little arrow here and then you go to video settings. But if you want to get right into the virtual background, you just go choose virtual background.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Super. Wow, this was great. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're very welcome. My pleasure.
Should I call you Mr. Nerd?
You know what? Sir Nerd would be preferable, but
very
honorable.
Thank you so much. That was great.
You're welcome.
Great.
So let's see. We have some hands up. Let's go with Sharon. I know you've been waiting for a while. Sharon's iPad.
Hi, Julius. I don't have a question, but somebody else here does.
Okay.
Hi. Quick one. I know I can download my own photos as virtual backgrounds.
Yes.
But what I find is over time, they just tend to disappear. I'll go in, let's say I don't use it for a month or two when I go in and there's nothing there anymore. Is there something I'm doing wrong that's not saving them?
No, I have not encountered that because I added these photos that I have. I want to say it was during our last Zoom meeting. And that had to be, I would say, a couple of months ago. I haven't seen that. Usually when you add them here, because if you notice, I can delete them out as well, but you usually have to delete them. I've never seen it where they just disappear. Are you adding it on your computer?
I've happened on my phone and on my computer.
And they're both disappearing, huh?
Right, over time, yes. I'll go in and there's nothing there at all. And I know they were there at some point because I would have gone in and used them at some point.
Yeah, I wish I had an answer. I have not experienced it. And I don't want to say that they disappear over time without looking more into Zoom. But just from my experience, and I never usually use a photo when I'm on a Zoom meeting, other than like showing you all. So I know I added this, our last class, and it had to be, I can't remember when we had the Zoom, but it was at least a month and a half, 2 months ago. But I'll monitor that and see unless Zoom is actually auto deleting them. I just know that when I have to take these out from my computer, I have to go and actually delete them.
Okay, I may follow up with Zoom on that one, but thank you for the answer.
Oh, you're very welcome. Okay, let's see. We have Marion next.
Yes, I had a question.
when we go into video, and they're telling us about our light, if we want to automatically get it, or if we want to do it manually, what's best to keep it low light, medium light, which would be best?
It kind of depends on your background. Like usually my rule of thumb, so when I join, like I mentioned, I would do a new meeting to see if it's the background. Sometimes I have to, like right now, I'm at the office, I'm not at my home office. So we have a big bright light that's kind of shining on me. But normally if I don't have that on, it's a little darker in here and it has to adjust for low light. So if I turn that guy off right now, you'll notice the difference. If you put it on auto, what's supposed to happen is it should automatically kind of look at your settings and say, Marion, this is going to be the best setting for you. But you may find like, I really don't like that. And then you switch it over to manual so that you can kind of toggle it off. So as I do this here, if you notice my picture on the screen, oh, let me show you here. As I do this here, and I have now, right now, I have it on manual. And when I raise this guy up, look at how light it gets. You can see the difference here. Like, look at my shirt here. You can see how it goes dark and light. So I normally just, if you go auto, this is where it puts me if I go auto. But I'll go manual and I'm like, no, I'm just going to keep it all the way down here. So it's like, get in there beforehand and just kind of look at how you want yourself to look, because even though they're automatic, may adjust the light properly, you may not like it that way and you want to toggle it down.
Okay, all right, thank you.
You're very welcome, Marion. Okay, Jen's up next.
Hi,
Hey, Jen.
how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. So I actually don't even know if this is a Zoom thing or if it's the computer that I'm working with. Right now, I'm on my daughter's computer that I'm talking to. On mine that I use every day, which is a little outdated, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So like 3 days ago, I got an error message and it says join with computer audio. And it says it failed to detect your speaker. Please make sure your speaker is properly connected. So it will not let me connect my speaker for Zoom. And I can't
Okay.
hear anyone. Not on the
So-
computer I'm on right now. I have one next to me. And I'm getting this. I don't know where you are.
Okay, yeah, I see it. So in there, in when you go to, like, for instance, on that other computer, let me just share my screen. When you go into the little microphone, the arrow, and then it goes to, you see the speaker here.
Okay.
Is it selected right here for
Wait,
you?
so it says join audio and there's like headphones with an arrow.
Okay. So
Yeah.
if you were to go into audio settings, for instance.
Okay, which I'm there right now. Okay.
And then now we have our speaker at the very top, and it
Right.
should, can you hit the drop down on that? And does it show you anything?
No.
Because, and then let me go into settings.
It's under like test speaker.
Yeah, so test speaker, and to the right of that, do you see like MacBook Air speakers or something? I think you might have to go, let me look into.
But I'm really not computer savvy, so this is like an issue.
No, no worries. Let me see if it may be a privacy thing where, let me see here, microphone, Zoom, that's our mic. I just want to make sure you have this enabled. This is the microphone, but the speakers themselves, accessibility, you want to make sure that you have those options turned on. But if you're looking in the audio here and you see test speaker, to the right of that, what do you see to the right of test speaker?
There's an arrow, but it won't let me pull anything down.
Okay.
And this just happened out of nowhere. like 2 days ago. And it's
And
quite
it was always, you were able to hear the sound with no
Always.
problem before.
always. I mean, maybe,
I would give it a nice little, have you given it a restart lately?
no.
See if you can give it a restart. That's like kind of equivalent to knocking it in its head and seeing if it can actually start to act right.
Okay.
Because if your speakers were working, you haven't dropped it or anything, there's nothing physically wrong with the speaker, it should automatically recognize that it's the MacBook Air speakers. And
Okay.
then sometimes you would have to just click on that audio, join with audio, and you tell it, when you click on the mic, you join it with the speakers, and then you'll be able to kind of test that speaker. If you hit test speaker, then it should play some sounds and see if you can kind of configure it that way.
Got it. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll do that.
All right, perfect.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, Susan, you're up.
Couple of things. Just to help you out on the virtual backgrounds, when I first got mine, when Zoom first started,
Yeah.
somebody told me to go into Google and put in virtual backgrounds. And that
Okay.
took me into that group that you have, which is the same one that I have.
Yes,
Okay, just to let everybody
that's
know,
perfect.
Google is fantastic for that
It is.
type of crazy stuff. Green screen. I don't have it, and I noticed it doesn't have to happen too much here, but as you can see, if you're looking at my thing, if I move certain ways, I get all sorts of distortion.
Yes.
Where do I go for the green screen, and is there a charge, or is it free, or what's the situation with that?
No, yeah, green screen is actually a physical piece. Like, if you ever seen like those Iron Man movies or whatever, like if you've seen them being made, they're like on a set with the whole background being green. So you
Okay.
can buy a green screen from like Amazon or something like that, and it'll be a physical thing that goes behind you so that when the computer is looking at that green screen, it's able to project an image back there, which then will put you in front of that image and will have less pixelation.
It's an easy install.
I mean, for the most part, if you buy one of those guys, I've seen where in photo shoots where they have a green screen, and it's literally, here, I'll show you all. It looks like this here. I'm just gonna go straight to Amazon. And green screen, oops. So once you go into a green screen, like here's one right here. You see this? And it's just like a cloth or some type of fabric that will go up behind you. Like this guy right here, and it lives in the background so that you would be able to project whatever you want. Some of them are expensive, as you can see, because of the size. Some of them are, you know, a little bit more affordable. Here's one for like $19.99, but it's basically just a green cloth or whatever material it's made out of.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Also, I ran into an instance a couple of different times when I did the Zoom in updates. I would
Yes.
lose my virtual backgrounds. So basically what I would do is close out of whatever I'm in, go to the Zoom icon,
Yeah.
click on that, and it would ask you to sign in again. So that might be what that gentleman's running into.
That certainly could be it as well. Signing into the same account. If he is signing into the same account, then that could be an error on Zoom's end. But I normally, every time I update and I sign back in, I'm able to see my screen. So I haven't been able to replicate it, but I know that it's technology. It could obviously happen because it's happening to him. But that's a good suggestion.
Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. All right, I'm gonna pop down to the chat and then I'm gonna get back to those hands up there. So let's see here, background, where is it on an iPad? Diane B asked that. Diane, you still there?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
I guess what I meant when you were explaining different, I guess, ideas on what to do on Zoom,
Yeah.
I felt that you were explaining it on either a PC or on your computer. I go on Zoom only on my iPad. So I guess, how do you do it on an iPad?
Sort of like
Anything.
when I shared it on my phone, that was an iPhone. So the icons are the icons are the same, but you don't have all the bells and whistles that you would have on the computer in the way in which they're laid out because it's a bigger screen. But on the iPad, as you see probably on the bottom there, when you tap on the screen, you'll see some options.
Well, mine, it's on top.
Okay, so you have it on top. So
Correct.
there, do you see the more icon or the little three dots?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah,
So
I do.
once you hit more, then those are gonna be your other options there.
Yeah,
To
because
kind
I
of raise your hand and the camera and all of that good stuff.
right. Because I would love to do a background, but a background and filters, but I'm afraid I'll mess it up or whatever, mess something up. But
And remember, they limit the backgrounds and filters on those devices. Like you could still put an image back there for sure. But
Right.
like the video, I have not seen like the same backgrounds and filters. I have signed into the same account on my devices. So just be cognizant of that when you go on there. I don't think you broke something or something's not working right.
one other thing is I had set up a Zoom meeting, for my neighbors in my community.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I don't know what I didn't click or what I did click. When they went on, they had to wait for me to invite them in. You know what I mean? So I'm thinking, how do I have it so that they can automatically come on?
So that's called a waiting room, and a lot of people like the waiting room. There's a waiting room here. Whenever you guys come on, you're just kind of waiting, and then my health angel will then allow you to come in. So it's essentially, again, like in the real world, you go to the doctor's office, they're like, hey, just sign in right over there, just have a seat, we'll be right with you. And you sit down there and you wait, and they're like, okay, Dr. Julius is ready to see you right now, step on back. So they have that waiting room feature. And they really pushed that, especially back in the day when there was a lot of Zoom bombing and people just jumping into classes. So you can turn that off. You can go into your settings, go into your account settings, or even when you are setting up that Zoom call, if you look at the details there, it'll say waiting room. You can uncheck that waiting room and just allow people to get right in there.
Okay. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
You're very welcome. My pleasure, Diane. All right, let's go back. Hang on, I just have a few more questions in here, and then I'm gonna get to the hands that we have up. Let's see. Ideas on how to do a meeting with both in-person and Zoom people. Loanne, I can give you an idea. I have done it. It's okay when you're doing it with a computer, but there's a community called Balanow that we help out as well. I mean, they're a huge community. They have their whole media team, but we assisted with that. But they have speakers and cameras and all of that stuff set up in these Zoom type of rooms so that they can have a meeting virtually as well as in person. So you can do it, but it's gonna just take the computer to be in there. You have to have if it's a big meeting, a microphone where it can hear everyone, a camera where it can see everyone, in addition to speakers hooked up to the computer so that when you say, hey, we got, Loanne in the room, Loanne on Zoom, and she wants to ask a question, and you want the people in the room to be able to hear it. And if you have 50 people in the room and it's going through the computer speakers, no one's going to be able to hear it. So you just have to have the right equipment, and you certainly can do it. All right, let's see here. Frida Smith, remind me again how to set a picture for the background. Now, I'm assuming, Frida, did you get that when I went over it?
Yes, she's shaking her head.
Okay.
I'm good.
All right, perfect, awesome. You're very welcome, Frida. Let's see. So Pam Garrity, depending on the presentation, chat distracts me. Even though I have a chat minimized, I still get the bubbles or the chat's coming through. Can I get that chat? Doesn't show. I have not. Let me see here. Close. I think if someone can someone say something in the chat really quick, like anything? Because I just closed mine out.
Chat's disabled right now because we had so many hands up and
Okay,
so
got
many
it.
questions.
All
and
right,
we were
so
over
Ashley
time.
just
I
sent
just
that.
put some.
I got that chat bubble. It's just something that I think the admin would be able to kind of take control of, but not you, because if there is a chat, someone says something, it will go in there, but you can remove it from the sidebar and close it, but there's no way to completely, kill it unless they disable the chat, unfortunately. Let's see here. Kathy says she doesn't have the apps button, and that's completely fine. If you don't have it, you probably won't use it. I know most businesses won't use it, but that's more going to be related for businesses, the different apps, just so you know. All right, and then let's pop back over to the hands that we have up. Let's see here. Positive Pat.
Hi, again.
Hey.
Just wanted to say, okay, I've got Zoom on my bar at the bottom of the computer.
Mm-hmm.
When I click on and I have it on the desktop too, but when I click on it from the email from the My Health Angels, and I click on that one, then when it comes up, there's nothing there that my regular one has, like the background, the picture and everything. The one that I normally use, like this one, that has my picture there and the backgrounds and everything, then I have to put the ID code in order to get to it. Is there some way to merge those? I don't know how I got so many of them. I got.
So it seems like you have essentially two accounts. So it's on two different devices, right?
No, it's on the same device.
So, okay. So if you're actually clicking, one, you're signing into, if you just sign into it, I would just kind of choose the one that you're going into. If you actually click on it, it should open up in a Zoom app on your computer. Because like anytime when I click on that link from My Health Angel, it recognizes I have the app on my computer and it says, allow to open up in Zoom. And I click on allow and then it opens up in Zoom and takes me into that world in which I'm already signed into. And then all of my backgrounds that I have saved, they're all there already. So if you're doing that same thing, you should be able to get to the same spot.
Okay. But I think it's sending me to another spot.
Yeah, or another way of, it's really hard to say without seeing it, but when you click on that link and you have the program on your computer, it should take you there. I'm not sure why it's taking you somewhere else in the browser itself. It should take you into the actual program on the computer.
Okay, because the one that I like to use with the picture and the backgrounds, I always have to put the ID code in there.
Now, if you have to put in the ID code, there's a way to say stay logged in, which you could probably do that. So the next time you go in, it'll just keep you logged in and automatically go that way.
Okay.
Yeah, try that out and see if that works out.
Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Okay, we have Edwina Thomas next. Edwina, can you unmute?
Do you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Thank you very much. Just a quick question.
Sure.
When you're on a Zoom call and the presenter puts in the chat a link to get an article or to get a picture or to get some information that he wants you to see or he or she wants you to see,
yeah,
how can you get that? Because if you stop and try to get it, then you're losing, part of what the presenter is saying. But when they leave the meeting, then the chat goes away. How can you save that so that you could get the article after the presentation? Is there a way to do that?
So sort of, I mean, no special way. What I would recommend, two things, is if you click on that link, like let's say, for instance, I sent you a link, click on it, it'll open up in your browser like Google Chrome or Safari, let it stay there, and then just click back on Zoom, continue the meeting, don't even read it. And then it's more like getting that brochure in the meeting. It's like, oh, thanks. And you just put it down and then you can look at it later.
Okay.
Because then once they kill the meeting, you're right, the chat goes away and you can't get it anymore. So click on it right then and there, go back to Zoom, and then you can read it later.
Okay.
And then also perhaps even ask like, hey, can you email this to us, so that we can get it in our email, and then they'll probably be able to do that as well.
Right. Thank you.
You're very, very welcome. Okay, Miss Barbara, you're up next. Barbara Waldron.
Yeah, my question is a two-part, and I know we're pushed for time, so I'm not going to prolong. There is this, the recording on my computer, it's flashing a little red light recording. Does it mean that my computer is recording what you're doing? And also, if I can record something, how do I go back to see it after it's recorded?
Okay, yeah, so great question. The reason why you all are seeing that recording at the top left, if you're on the desktop, I'm not sure where it's at on the mobile devices, but My Health Angel is recording our session. So they're basically recording it for their own records, and we all give consent at the beginning of the call to say, and it tells you that they're recording it. So it'll be saved to their cloud and they'll be able to access it. If you wanted to record something, let's say, for instance, you go into a meeting like this. If you hit record, it says, when I hit record, it prompts me, it says, please ask the host to give you permission to record. So you can say, for instance, like if you go to something and it's about your insurance or it's about a meeting that's very personal, and you say, hey, can I record? You can record it, and then it could save to your computer, and then you can go and access it later. But in this case, it's the meeting, the whole meeting is being recorded for My Health Angel.
Okay, so if I were hosting a meeting and I wanted to record that meeting, how do I record it, and how do I go back to play it?
So you would, when you're hosting that meeting, you would see that same little record button on the bottom, and because you're the host, you have license to do so, and it will let the other users know that you're recording the meeting. They'll also see it. After that, you have a couple of options, especially if you have a paid account. Zoom, and again, I'm not even sure with the free account if they allow you to, how it works.
I have a paid account.
Okay, perfect. So when you hit record, you can choose to save it on your computer afterwards or save it to the Zoom cloud, and you'll be able to log into Zoom and access those recordings afterwards. If it's saved locally on your computer, it'll tell you exactly where it's going to be. After you end the meeting, it'll say still recording or still processing or whatever, still saving it. And then it'll tell you the file structure, like documents, Zoom folder, you know, the day of the event and so forth. And it'll tell you exactly where it's at so you can access it.
Thank you. Very helpful. Thank you.
You're very welcome, Barbara. All right, John, you're up next.
Hi, Julius.
Hey, how are you?
Very good. Thank you for all this knowledge. I think you might have answered the question, but I just want to pose. I was having trouble with getting files and pictures using share screen. And it was because I thought you had to somehow move the actual file from your computer into the app. Yeah. But if I understand what you demonstrated, if I just open the file before the meeting and have it on the desktop,
Yes.
then I can just by clicking to that screen off of the Zoom screen,
Yep.
then and I'm sharing, then the people in the meeting see that particular screen. Is that
You're
correct?
100% right. I couldn't have said it any better. Just to add on top of that, it's just, again, I like to always, personally, I like to think about, doing stuff in the real world as well as on Zoom in the virtual world. So if you wanted to share, this invisible piece of paper with everyone that I have in my hand, you want to have it, and this is in the real world. You would say, hey, folks, I'm here. We're all here. And I want to share this thing with you. You have to have it before you walk in that room. In this case, before you start your Zoom meeting, have that document up on the computer. Have it ready to go to present. Then when you go and hit share screen, you're going to be presented with a few different options. Share your whole desktop, which anything that is on your computer, people will be able to see. Your emails coming in, all of that stuff. But if you want to really kind of get their attention, focus on that document, maybe it's a PDF, maybe it's a Word, maybe it's a PowerPoint, maybe it's an image. Have that particular item, that file up, and then when you actually go and hit share screen, there should be an option of opening up the program with that document. So if it's a Word document, you'll see Word, you'll see PowerPoint, and then you click on that, and then you click share, and then they will only be able to see that particular item.
Great, thank you.
Yes. All right, you're welcome. Okay, Carlene, you're up next. Oh, wait, can't hear you yet.
Hello.
There we go. Hey,
Hello.
how are you?
Good, good. I'm talking about sharing too. Is it only like when you had your iPhone on the screen? Is it only for the host? Can I share while someone else is hosting?
You can, if they allow it. Like, let's say, for instance, I was running the show here, which My Health Angel is. They allow me access to share my screen. Because let's say, for instance, they gave everyone access, and then Frank was going to be that guy, and he's like, you know what? I'm going to take over the show, and I'm going to share my screen, and he boots me out. So they can actually have access to cut Frank off, and then or only give me access to share my screen because they're the host. Now, if you wanted to share your screen, let's say, for instance, in this case, you're like, hey, Julius, I want to show the class something, and I was the host, I would say, Carlene, no problem. Hang on, let me give you access. Boom. Now you have access to share your screen, and then you can share with the rest of the class. So that's how it essentially works. Now, if you're the host, you will have license to share your screen with everyone.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, Maxim, you're on.
Okay, you touched on this before, but I wanted to know, do you know of any specific website where you can get the virtual backgrounds maybe for free?
I don't know any specific ones, but I do know, let me see, free virtual backgrounds for Zoom. I'm actually just gonna Google this and see if I find, Okay, man, I just found some right on Zoom. Let me show you all. And I think this would be a really safe place to go and get some virtual backgrounds. So check this out here. I just typed in, this is what I Googled, exactly what Maximum said in Google, free virtual backgrounds for Zoom. The first link that I found was here. Now, Unsplash is another legitimate site. I've been on there, but let's just go to Zoom and see what they have. This is what we have right here.
Oh, okay.
And you would essentially download these, and then when you go up, when you go into Zoom, you would upload that photo back there so that you will be able to see it. And I can just hit load more, and I'm seeing them. And this is all free from Zoom, which is great.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Oh, thank you. I've never again, I'm not that cool. I never really use these backgrounds, but this is a really cool feature. Maybe I'll start now because I see all of this here. So let me stop that. All right, I think we got all the wait, are the Zoom apps for free? We saw that. How would you share a PowerPoint presentation? So I'm going to answer all these together. Wait, Pat Potter, how do you call up a file when you are in share screen mode? So Pat, I can't show you, hang on, I can actually show you a screenshot of this. Give me 1 second. So let's do this here. Let me keep that up. And let me keep this guy up. So I can, I'm screenshotting these because I can't really show you that live. So once I hit desktop, so check this out here. When I click on screen, share screen, these are my options. And like what I was going over with John.
Right.
I can share my whole desktop. I can go a whiteboard. I can do iPhone via AirPlay or via Cord, which I have it hooked up. Google, any screen that I have up, it will show them here. So if I have that PowerPoint presentation, someone asked that, you want to have that open and then it will be in this screen here. So if I didn't want you guys all seeing my desktop and everything that's happening in my world, I can just hone in right on Google Chrome and you'll only be able to see Google Chrome. So if you have that Word document up, that PowerPoint, that Excel, images, videos, you'll be able to share that right here and you will see those items as it relates to whatever files you have on your computer.
I understand this so far, Julius, but how do you get your iPhone image up there?
So if you were to go back here, let me show you. Boom. So can you still see this here?
Yes.
So if my iPhone, if I were to click on to share my screen, this is how I usually share my iPhone. You could do it via AirPlay, which is virtual if I have no cord, or you can hook up a cord right to your computer and you could do it via cable.
Oh, I see. Okay, connect my phone to the computer and the icon will then come up.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's the easiest way. The AirPlay is pretty easy, but there's a couple more steps. But you have it plugged in, it should share that screen with no problems.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
All right, you're very welcome, Pat. All right, let's see here. Share screen. How do you call up a file? We have that. I got the PowerPoint presentation. Thank you. You answered my question, Pam. Okay, the Zoom apps are, I wouldn't say these are all Zoom apps. These, again, I would kind of stay out of this world. This is all for productivity. Like this is for businesses. And these are probably a lot of apps that you've probably never heard of because they're all of these different things that allow people to kind of really get into sharing. You got DocuSign, all of these different things, but these are not that they're not free. You probably need to have an account with these third-party apps. This just allows you to connect with them via Zoom. So when it comes down to that, I would kind of stay out of that world. I never touch it because I never use those apps. Let me just see here, going back to the chat. Okay, Yvonne, wait, could you have it because you have Zoom that you pay for instead? So Kathy, about the Zoom apps, I'm not, it could be because I have a paid account, but I noticed that this came in there a few months ago, and I just shared it with the class at that point to kind of like literally stay away from it because I really, unless if you're doing business, by all means, jump in there and you can look at the different apps that you would need and you can actually go in there and find those apps and integrate those with Zoom. It's just gonna allow you to do certain things that those apps will do offsite within the Zoom world, but that's all these are for when you see the apps. It could be because it's a paid account, but I'm not exactly sure just because I never use those apps. I never had a reason to. And let's see here. I have a free account. The first time I used it with chat just to another person and talk for almost 2 hours. Was it because it was only one person? How much does it cost to have an upgrade? It could be. I just know that when you're actually setting up a Zoom call, I think it said with 3 or more people, you have to, it's 40 minutes and you have to, get out of there and then start it back up. To upgrade, I think the next one was $14.99 per month or $149 per year. And we have one more question, which is Janet C. She has her hand up. Janet?
Janet, if you want to unmute.
Janet, you there?
Janet, can you unmute? No. But Yvonne did ask, is Zooming different from virtual?
Oh, I skipped that over. Sorry. No. So Yvonne, you mean like just the terminology itself? Oh, can you unmute? I can't
Yeah,
hear
you're
you.
on mute. Yvonne.
Okay. Yeah, hit that little microphone at the
Go
bottom. There
ahead.
you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, my doctors, they always send me the notification and say virtual,
Okay.
not Zooming.
Yeah, so that's a great question. So it breaks down the terminology. So right now, although we're using Zoom, we're having a virtual meeting. We're meeting each other in this virtual world. So we're all in all these different places. So we come together via this online virtual world. If I close my laptop, I will not be able to see you nor hear you, and our virtual connection goes. So Skype is a virtual platform that will allow you to virtually connect with people. Zoom is a virtual platform that will allow you to virtually connect with people. And then you have other ones. There are so many other platforms that allow this virtual connection, such as FaceTime, Google Duo, all of these virtual platforms that allow you to virtually connect. But it's a great question that you ask because it's all about terminology, and some people don't really understand it. Like, no, I'm jumping on a Zoom. And it's like, but it's still a virtual meeting. So sometimes people ask, hey, do you want to virtually meet or do you want to meet in person? That's a thing now, because you have to specify that nowadays to say, some people are like, well, I don't want you coming to my house. Let's do it virtually. It's like, okay, but we're still meeting. So this is, if they send you a virtual invite for a virtual meeting, it's so many different platforms out there, especially when it comes down to the medical field, that they're using to connect with you virtually so they can see your face and hear your voice and vice versa.
Great, great. So the kids who do it online from school, is it that's virtual?
Yeah, exactly. So if they're working virtually, so if I'm working virtually, I can just work from my virtual office from my home. And then my office is in San Francisco, for instance.
Right.
I'm working virtually. The kids who are doing online school, whatever platform they're using to connect with their teachers and their professor, they're connecting virtually.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're very welcome, Yvonne. Oh, okay, Rose, last question. We're gonna take Rose here. Yes.
Okay, so when the doctor sends you a link,
Yes.
whether it's for Zoom or whatever, we have to click on that link in order to be connected?
In most cases, I would say yes. Most of them will send you like a link. I just did a virtual appointment for a doctor, and they gave us a link via text. Once we clicked on it, it took us into that virtual world that they're using to connect with them, and we were all set. We didn't have to do any other extra downloading either.
Okay, because I'm getting ready to have some eye surgery, so I'm not going to be able to drive.
Oh yeah, virtual is probably going to be the best for you.
Yeah, and for everybody else.
Yes. Great
And how's
question.
the baby?
The baby's doing great. That we had that virtual meeting with one of the doctors just so we can get a faster appointment. He's doing great. I mean, the guy just likes to stay up and eat all day and just sleep. I mean, when is he going to
That's
get a
good.
job, right?
Exactly. You can put him to work.
I know. Maybe
Sure.
he'll be a model or something. He has to do something. He has to pay his way.
That's
Thank
right.
you,
But he's
Julius.
doing great. Thank you all for checking in. And it's always a pleasure working with you all and teaching this stuff. And I'm very much looking forward to the next class.
Yes.